Ollie MacGraw and Steve McQueen were the ideal Hollywood power couple from the outside, the kind of couple who appeared on the covers of magazines and made everyone else believe in glamour. They had everything: a stunning oceanfront mansion, red carpets laid out for them, luxury vehicles that sparkled in their driveway. But behind all those glazed smiles and flashing lights was a tale more sinister than anyone could have dreamed. Behind his closed doors, the king of cool became a man controlled by paranoia, fury, and terror. He taped their intimate chats, questioned her for hours, and in one moment of sheer terror, held a loaded gun to her head, demanding she confess to crimes she never did. For 30 minutes, Ollie MacGraw sat paralyzed, looking down the end of a revolver in the hand of the man she believed she loved. She camouflaged bruises with makeup, concealed tears behind sunglasses, and explained to friends she had simply been clumsy. It wasn't until years afterwards, when she had finally found her voice, that the world discovered the truth. Hollywood's coolest icon had a secret so dark that even those who knew him best were too afraid to look. Ollie MacGraw's tale doesn't start in stardom, it starts in fear. Born Elizabeth Alice MacGraw in Pound Ridge, New York, in 1939, she was raised in a home dominated by silence, tension, and secrecy. Her dad, Richard MacGraw, had scars running deeper than skin could reach. Abandoned as a child, he was left in an orphanage in New Jersey where loneliness and anger were his sole friends. He eloped to the sea at 16 in pursuit of freedom, but the hurt of being unwanted never truly left him. Even though he went on to study art in Munich and returned to America to establish himself as a commercial artist, that childhood wound ulcerated into bitterness. Ollie would have her father say that he lived in continuous terror and rage. He never forgave his parents for leaving him, and he punished his family for it. When he was drinking, the walls of their little house shook. He screamed, hurled objects, and frightened his children. Ollie learned early on that silence kept them safe. She was raised tiptoeing, her small body recoiling from the sound of his feet, always trying to anticipate the mood when he came home. Her mother, Frances Klein MacGraw, had her own cross to bear. Born to Hungarian Jewish immigrants, she was raised in a society that insisted on assimilation. Her parents, Maurice and Pauline Klein, had immigrated from Budapest in pursuit of the American dream. But Frances learned at an early age that her heritage was perilous. Her husband, Richard, was intensely bigoted, so Frances concealed her Jewishness from him for all of their marriage. For decades, she had rejected her ancestry for fear that disclosure would ruin her family. She was once an artist, a teacher in Paris, but by the time Ollie was born, her imagination had been interred in fear. She raised her daughter to hide pain, to stay composed, to survive quietly. The lesson sank deep. In Ollie's home, truth was dangerous, emotions were unsafe, and love always came with conditions. At school, Ollie's world didn't get easier. She attended Rosemary Hall, an elite boarding school in Connecticut, surrounded by daughters of the rich and powerful. Ollie was there on a scholarship, an outsider among privilege. As her classmates discussed summer houses and boat vacations, she returned to a house that struggled to stay warm. Her clothes weren't designer labels, her accent wasn't smooth, and she frequently felt the need to pretend to belong. That feeling of never belonging, of always being less than, would persist throughout her life. It was a silent pain that drove her to have to prove herself, to win love and acceptance where she could. Following college at Wellesley, Ollie quit home and went to New York and got a position at Harper's Bazaar for a mere $50 a week. It was the glamorous fashion world, or so it appeared from the outside. Her editor, the legendary Diana Vreeland, was brilliant but brutal. When Vreeland once hurled her coat at Ollie, asking her to hang it up, Ollie hurled it back. That spark of fire, the brazenness to stand up to someone powerful, became her hallmark. She worked for 6 years at the magazine, learning the brutal beat of fashion and the survival skills in a world that devoured young women alive. Her breakthrough was an accident. She starred in a Polaroid commercial in 1965, sprinting barefoot along the beach in a bikini, laughing at the camera as the song Meet the Swinger played in the background. The advertisement made her an overnight national sensation. Suddenly, everybody was eager to meet the girl with such easygoing charm. But fortune didn't follow fame. She was still just getting by, sleeping on floors, sharing apartments with barely working actors, and holding on to hope that better things were ahead. By 1969, her determination had come to fruition. After years of rejection, she got cast in Goodbye, Columbus with Richard Benjamin. The acting stunned reviewers. She was bright, exposed, and authentic. That performance won her a Golden Globe and made her Hollywood's newest red carpet star. 2 years thereafter, Love Story made her an international phenomenon. In playing Jenny, the blue-collar girl who falls in love with an affluent Harvard student, she became the image of tragic love. The movie received 7 Oscar nominations and earned her one of the best-paid actresses in Hollywood. But as the world worshipped her, Ollie was inwardly disintegrating. Stardom, she learned, wasn't security, it was scrutiny. She was among the first of the stars to know the choking glare of the paparazzi. Every step she took snapped and scrutinized. Even as her stardom reached new heights, that old sense of never belonging did not desert her. And on the other side of Hollywood, meanwhile, Steve McQueen was living his own legend. Born in 1930 in Indiana, his life started out in turmoil. His father went missing prior to his birth, and his mother, a teenage alcoholic, abandoned him to look out for himself. He grew up with his uncle on a Missouri farm where love was rare and punishment was cruel. By the age of 14, he'd run away, scrounging in Los Angeles streets, stealing to survive, running gangs, and sleeping in back alleys. Those early years hewed him into something tough and indestructible. When he enlisted in the Marines at 17, it gave him a reason for being, but not tranquility. He was rebellious, even there, demoted 7 times, arrested twice, and once put on bread and water for 21 days. But also, there were moments of heroism. In a training accident, he rescued 5 Marines from drowning, an act that garnered him compliments and his first genuine feeling of pride. Post-discharge, McQueen employed the GI Bill to study acting in New York with Sanford Meisner and Uta Hagen. He had odd jobs, repaired automobiles, and competed on motorcycles for money. He had a natural talent for acting. He brought the same quiet intensity that served him through his street days. When he was cast as Josh Randall and wanted Dead or Alive in 1958, America swooned over his cool, understated charm. Within years, he was Hollywood's highest-paid actor. From The Magnificent Seven to The Great Escape, from Bullitt to The Thomas Crown Affair, McQueen was the ultimate anti-hero, risky, enigmatic, out of reach. But underneath that magnetism lay the same hurt kid who had been abandoned. When Ollie and Steve met on the set of The Getaway in 1971, it sparkled. She was married to powerful producer Robert Evans, and he was Hollywood's most sought-after man. The chemistry between them was undeniable and destructive. In a matter of months, Ollie broke up with Evans for McQueen, sparking one of the decade's biggest scandals. Their passion was volcanic, hot, all-consuming, intoxicating. I was absolutely besotted with him, she later confessed. He was all I imagined I desired. But obsession, as she would discover, isn't love. By the time they wed in July 1973, however, cracks were already starting to appear. McQueen insisted on complete domination. He got her to sign a prenup that entitled her to nothing in the event of divorce, then instructed her to relinquish her career. "No, wife of mine works," he informed her bluntly. Ollie, desperate to please, rejected parts in The Great Gatsby and The Godfather Part 2, movies that would come to represent the decade. She gave up the limelight for his love, her autonomy for his adoration. But it cost her dearly. Within their $17 million Malibu estate, McQueen set up hidden cameras. He screened her calls, questioned her about every conversation, and suspected her of cheating if she looked at another man. Friends quit calling. She was a prisoner in paradise. McQueen's paranoia was prompted by cocaine, liquor, and abuse. He tended to stay up for days, cursing and patrolling. When Ollie attempted to exit a room, he'd stand in the doorway. When she wept, he sneered. At times he would relent, purchase her jewelry, hold her close, whisper apologies, but the cycle would begin anew. One evening after a fight, he made her sleep in her car as he invited another woman into their house. Another evening, he hit her so hard during a scene on the set that she lost her lines. He explained to her it was merely method acting. By 1975, his anger had been violent. He struck her at parties in front of friends, even once at a dinner table. She wore long sleeves to conceal the bruises and lied to all those who inquired. The worst occurred in 1976. In a cocaine-fueled fight, McQueen picked up a .38 revolver and put her head. He insisted that she admit to having affairs. He kept the gun trained on her for half an hour while she pleaded with him to end it. He snapped the safety on and off, his eyes icy. She believed she was going to be killed. It wasn't the first time he had threatened a woman with a gun. He'd threatened his first wife that way before. But it was loaded this time. That night signaled the end of their marriage, though it would take 2 more years before she was able to get out. By the time Ollie officially divorced him in 1977, she had nothing, no money, no house, no career. The prenup he had coerced her into signing left her broke. McQueen stashed his earnings in secret accounts, while hers were depleted. At the end of the divorce in 1978, she received only her wardrobe. McQueen spent the next year sabotaging her career, warning directors that she was crazy, unreasonable, and unhireable. Hollywood obeyed. The woman, once its shining star, was an outcast overnight. McQueen, on the other hand, got on with things in a hurry. In January 1980, he wed model Barbara Minty while dying of cancer. He was 50 years old when he died later in the year. By marrying before he died, he left Ollie with nothing. His $12 million fortune went to Minty and his children. The woman who had sacrificed everything for him was removed from his narrative. She had been a Golden Globe winner one day and an ignored Hollywood statistic the next. Following the end of her marriage, Ollie derailed. She had no job and piling bills, so she sold her own things to get by. Booze was her escape. A glass of wine converted into vodka bottles. She said she was empty, lost, and angry. It wasn't until 1986, when she admitted herself into the Betty Ford Center, that she started to mend. "I thought I was going there for a broken heart," she said, "but I went there for a drinking problem." The process of recovery was harsh, but life-changing. She discovered that her true addiction was not to booze, it was to love in general. "Being in love was my drug of choice," she admitted. For the first time, she realized how her childhood, violence by her father, and fear by her mother had influenced every choice she ever made. Her memoir, Moving Pictures, appeared in 1991. There, she shattered decades of silence and told the whole truth about McQueen's abuse, emotional, physical, and financial. Fans rebuked her for ruining his reputation, but many women recognized her as a survivor. Her tale was a cautionary tale of the cost of silence, of loving someone who never knew how to love in return. Ollie departed Hollywood in 1994 to stay. She relocated to Santa Fe, New Mexico, where the desert horizon and serene mountains provided the serenity she had spent her entire life pursuing. She was a voice for animal rescue